what is driving me absolutely crazy at the moment is a pattern of self-inflicted headwinds that this country is placing in front of those looking to drive economic growth, especially here in Scotland right now, a pattern of headwinds that are placed in front of businesses that are built on world-leading engineering, another critical backbone of any country's industrial strategy. In 2012, when we lit up the London Olympics, this country was admired globally for innovation, creativity, engineering, and resilience. But since Brexit, it feels like we've begun an industrial strength effort to shoot ourselves in the foot. Working here in Scotland across the energy sector, I see it daily. In renewables, oil and gas, nuclear and storage, brilliant businesses being slowed down, stalled, or priced out by confused policymaking. Today, I'm in Invergordon, standing on the well-safe Guardian with one of those entrepreneurs, Phil Milton, CEO of Well-Safe Solutions, whose resilience and vision building a business from scratch in a very, very choppy and unpredictable macro framework and policy framework has truly astounded me since we met 2 years ago. When we arrived and I spoke to some of the team, I was struck by the engineering capability and technical brilliance that form part of Well-Safe Solutions. What is it like running this multi-million-pound operation in the UK energy market right now?
Difficult. It's very challenging, and I think you talked earlier about the headwinds that we see coming towards. That there is no doubt that that's having an impact on our business and many, many other businesses in the energy sector. So it's very frustrating. I see challenges right now, and I see challenges in front of us in terms of keeping that talented skill base that we need now, but also we've got so much opportunities in front of us in the energy sector. We not only need to keep the ones that we already have, we need to continue to attract new talent in.
And this unbelievable asset that we're standing on right now, that is world-leading technology in decommissioning, was built by and modified by a sort of production line of outstanding engineering and technical talent that you've got coming through. But how are you feeling about our ability as a nation at the moment to retain that talent, to drive the government's industrial strategy forwards?
I think it's going to be really challenging unless we have some shifts in policy and actually get behind the energy sector and support it. We've talked a lot about an energy transition. We've talked a lot about an energy cliff. Sadly, we're much more at the energy cliff than we are at the energy transition. So we need some changes. We need some changes now, and it needs to happen quickly, that comes in to support the energy sector. And it means that we can keep that talent pool here, but we can actually continue to attract new talent in. We've got fantastic graduate opportunities, we've got fantastic apprenticeship opportunities, but we need the work to be unlocked, and it's been held up at the moment. We need that work unlocked so that we can deploy these assets that we've invested heavily in and the talent that we've invested heavily in as a business and as an industry to get back out there and get to work.
Decommissioning is not an option, right? The longer that you leave decommissioning, the more costly it is for the taxpayer in the long run. There'll be some watching this video on LinkedIn who aren't familiar with why that is. Explain why that is the case.
It's a bit like anything else. The longer you leave something, particularly in the hostile environment like the North Sea, it very rarely gets better in condition. So things degrade. So what we need to do is we need to be out there, we need to be removing infrastructure and wells at the moment that are no longer active. So you are not removing infrastructure that's still giving us the much needed oil and gas that we need in our domestic requirements. So there's sufficient wells there that we can start to get after that right now. If you continue to delay that, the condition of the wells can deteriorate. But also, if you don't utilise the supply chain that we have here in the UK already, that supply chain will leave to other regions of the world. When that supply chain leaves, it becomes much more expensive to try and attract that supply chain capability and capacity.
Where will they go, Phil? So there are jobs being lost across this region, the last quarter being a prime example. Where will that engineering capability and technical capability go from here for lack of opportunity?
I think you'll see there'll be a mixture. You'll see some that will just leave the energy industry, full stop. They will go into other jobs in the UK. But I believe you will see a larger percentage of those skilled positions leaving to go to other regions in the world. You look at the Middle East, the Far East, Africa, Brazil, Mexico, are all really busy in the energy markets. And that's covering new oil and gas drilling and development and exploration, but it's also decommissioning and energy transition. So there are a huge amount of opportunities globally where that talent pool can go to.
And so, hypothetically speaking, I met a graduate today when I first stepped on board this rig, who's in his first steps into the sector. He could have a fantastic 4 or 5 years here, learn skills in mechanical and technical engineering, and then, having received amazing training and a great experience, he could go and apply that to grid transformation, working for one of the major players that need to do that. He could work in offshore wind. But if he's not able to have that growth and development in a transition industry like decommissioning, then we could lose that skill and capability to foreign markets.
We need to be serious about the talent we're talking about. There is a lot of investment goes into the training of this talent pool through education, but also through companies investing in them like WellSafe and many others investing in that graduate programme or those apprenticeship programmes. What would be a crying shame is if we do that investment, we train those individuals up to become really competent in this market and we lose them to overseas. We're effectively exporting that talent elsewhere when we still need it here. And that transition, when you talk about the skill sets that you need to decommission the existing wells and drill new CCUS wells, it's the drillers, it's the installations that we're on today. These are the installations that you need to drill those wells for new CCUS projects. So it's a critical part of that actual transition.
For all of us and every business, COVID was a challenging time. Mm-hmm. You created this business, you came through COVID, and you've seen the windfall taxation that was introduced on the top of the oil and gas supply chain during the pandemic, extended out with now for several more years. Is it as simple to say that you feel that if that was removed from this sector and this industry, that your business and many others would be freed up to grow and retain and bring those engineers and technicians through to deliver that kind of GDP contribution that the country so desperately needs? Is it as simple as that is the focus area? If the government were to make that move, that would de-risk some of the stuff we have just talked about?
I think it's definitely, it's required. It's got to be the first step. We've got to get investor confidence back in the UK to unlock that entrepreneurial. You can be as entrepreneurial as you want, but if you can't get the capital and investors to come in behind you, you look at the size of this business and what we've invested. We're a very fortunate company where we've got really good investor backing that have allowed us to take a vision and to turn that into reality. You need that investor pool. And I think if we don't get some confidence back in that investor pool, then we lose those opportunities. EPL it was introduced and it has been increased and extended. And there's a consultation ongoing at the moment. I hope the government are listening because I think we need to remove it. I think we need to remove it way earlier than 2030. I think if we leave that out to 2030, I worry about the condition of the supply chain and the energy industry at large. I think we'll lose more talent, we'll lose more capability and capacity out of the basin. And I think it will be really difficult to try and track that back in to deliver the mix that we need.
I've talked about the privilege of my role, but there's also a need for nuance because this energy debate in the United Kingdom is far too polarised. The skills that I've seen today here at WellSafe can easily be transitioned into renewables as a sector and a space, but what we have to do is pull things together to make sure there's an understanding of what those skills are. We've got petroleum engineers here, drilling engineers and technicians, incredibly talented and highly trained and motivated people. We've got to make sure that they are looked after for the future of the country at a vital time. Phil, let's look ahead. What gives you cause for optimism as we head now into the summer and through into the latter stages of 2025? You've got great momentum here in the business despite the challenges, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. And, we're seeing activity picking up again for 26, which is encouraging. We need to see more activity continuing to pick up. we look at the amount of work that needs to be done there, wherever that may be in the well life cycle. We know there are new drilling opportunities, there are well management in terms of maintaining those wells, and there are decommissioning opportunities. And yesterday we heard the news that the government are coming in to support the carbon capture at Acorn. Great news. So these kind of small changes give me optimism that we're hopefully moving forward, and we're moving into a position where we can see these fantastic assets and the talent that we have fully deployed, and let's get busy again.
Economic growth is driven by entrepreneurialism. Entrepreneurs are driven by what word you just said, Phil, which 9 times out of 10 I always hear it, which is optimism. We have to be optimistic, but we also have to listen. I know there are people watching this video in Westminster, which, let me tell you, seems a long, long way away from Invergordon as I stand here today. We at E-FWD will keep telling the story of our brilliant engineering entrepreneurial members to make sure that that bridge and that connectivity is created between a far too polarized sector. So I'm really excited that we can continue to do that and continue to make an impact. And boy, oh boy, what a privilege it has been to be here today. Thank you, Phil, and everyone watching this, let's go.